For over 1 million years, the galaxy had known nothing but war. Two mighty civilizations, the Zephyr Consortium and the Nexus Collective, had been locked in an endless cycle of destruction that consumed entire star systems. Planets turned to ash, species went extinct, and the very fabric of space bore scars from their relentless conflict. The Zephyr Consortium believed in absolute order through technological supremacy. Their crystalline ships could slice through reality itself, and their energy weapons turned matter into pure light. They had conquered thousands of worlds, forcing lesser species to serve their vision of galactic perfection. The Nexus Collective embraced chaos and adaptation. Their biomechanical fleets grew and evolved during battle, becoming stronger with each encounter. They consumed everything in their path, turning defeated enemies into new weapons for their endless hunger for dominance. Neither side could gain the upper hand. For 1 million years, they had traded victories and defeats across the galaxy's spiral, arms. Entire sectors became graveyards of broken ships and dead worlds. Other species learned to hide in the shadows, praying they would never catch the attention of these ancient titans. But in a small corner of the galaxy, on a blue world called Earth, something unprecedented was happening. Humanity had just discovered faster-than-light travel. Captain Marcus Steele stood on the bridge of the Crimson Dawn, Earth's first deep space exploration vessel. He was a man forged by conflict, having survived the resource wars that had united humanity under one banner. His weathered face showed the determination that had carried his species from tribal hunters to masters of their solar system. The Crimson Dawn was humanity's greatest achievement. Unlike the elegant curves of alien ships they had never seen, this vessel looked like what it was, a weapon disguised as an explorer. Angular hull plating protected experimental systems that human engineers had developed through pure necessity and stubborn innovation. Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures ahead, reported Navigation Officer Zara Voss, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. She had grown up in the asteroid colonies where quick thinking meant survival. The readings are off the charts. It's like two suns are fighting each other. Steele nodded grimly. Take us to yellow alert. Whatever's out there, it's bigger than anything we've encountered. He had led humanity's first contact protocols, but nothing had prepared them for this scale of destruction. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that would haunt the crew forever. Two massive fleets, each containing thousands of ships, were tearing each other apart in the void. Energy beams that could crack moons crossed the darkness, while vessels the size of cities exploded in brilliant fireballs. My God, whispered communications specialist Rico Santos, his hands trembling as he monitored the alien transmissions. He had intercepted signals from across the galaxy, but these voices carried the weight of eons. They're not just fighting, they're trying to erase each other from existence. Dr. Nolan Pierce, the ship's xenobiologist, studied the tactical displays with growing horror. He had theorized about alien life for decades, but this was beyond his worst nightmares. The destruction patterns suggest this has been going on for... Captain, the debris fields extend for light years. This war is older than our civilization. The two alien fleets suddenly stopped firing. Both sides had detected the human ship. Captain, we're being scanned, Zara reported, her voice tight with concern. Multiple targeting locks from both fleets. They're treating us as hostile. Steele felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. His species had fought their way up from caves to stars, and now they faced enemies who had been perfecting warfare since before Earth's continents had formed their current shapes. But humans had one advantage these ancient warriors had forgotten. All hands, battle stations, Steele commanded, his voice carrying across the ship. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. The Crimson Dawn powered up its weapons, a tiny spark of defiance in the face of cosmic titans. Neither the Zephyr Consortium nor the Nexus Collective knew they were about to witness the end of their eternal war. In the depths of space, humanity prepared to rewrite galactic history. Deep in the engineering bay of the Crimson Dawn, Dex Hartwell wiped sweat from his forehead as he made final adjustments to humanity's most ambitious creation. The quantum fold drive hummed with barely contained energy, its crystalline core pulsing with light that seemed to bend reality around it. Dex had been called crazy by his peers back on Earth. While other engineers focused on conventional propulsion, he had pursued theories that most considered impossible. His work with quantum mechanics had led to breakthroughs that defied traditional physics, creating technology that could manipulate space and time itself. "The drive is ready, Captain," Dex reported over the comm system, his hands still working on the delicate calibrations. "But I have to warn you, this isn't just about speed anymore. The quantum fold technology can do things we never imagined. It can phase our ship between dimensions, making us temporarily invisible to conventional sensors." On the bridge, Zara, Voss continued analyzing the alien fleets through her instruments. What she discovered made her blood run cold. The navigation officer had spent years mapping uncharted territories, but nothing had prepared her for this scale of devastation. "Captain, I'm reading the aftermath of their previous battles," Zara reported, her voice barely steady. "There are debris fields spanning entire solar systems. Whole civilizations have been wiped out as collateral damage. This isn't just war, it's systematic annihilation of everything in their path." The tactical displays showed the horrifying truth. Broken worlds floated like scattered marbles, their surfaces cracked and lifeless. Space stations that had once housed millions were now twisted metal monuments to destruction. The two alien empires had turned entire sectors into graveyards. Rico Santos focused his equipment on the alien communications, his headphones filled with sounds that chilled him to the bone. The communications specialist had learned dozens of alien languages during humanity's expansion, but these transmissions carried emotions he had never encountered. "Captain, you need to hear this," Rico said, patching the translated communications through the bridge speakers. "The aliens aren't just fighting, they're taunting each other about the species they've destroyed. They're keeping score of entire civilizations they've eliminated." The bridge fell silent as they listened to the alien voices. The Zephyr Consortium spoke in cold mechanical tones about inferior species removal efficiency. The Nexus Collective responded with savage roars about consumption rates and genetic harvesting quotas. Dr. Nolan Pierce worked frantically at his analysis station, studying combat patterns that spanned millennia. The xenobiologist had dedicated his life to understanding alien behavior, and what he found in the data streams terrified him. "Captain, I've identified their weakness," Pierce announced, his face pale with realization. "Both sides have become predictable. After a million years of fighting, they're locked in repeating patterns. The Zephyr always opens with crystal lance formations, while the Nexus responds with bioswarm tactics. They've forgotten how to adapt." Steele absorbed this information while watching the alien fleets position themselves for another engagement. The Zephyr ships formed perfect geometric patterns, their crystalline hulls reflecting starlight like deadly prisms. The Nexus vessels writhed and twisted, their organic surfaces pulsing with bioluminescent threats. "They're about to resume fighting," Zara observed, monitoring both fleets' movements. "But Captain, there's something else. I'm detecting distress signals from a nearby system. There are refugees, survivors trying to escape the war zone." Tactical Officer Jade Morrison stepped forward, her warrior instincts analyzing the battlefield. She had earned her rank during the Mars Rebellion, where outnumbered human forces had defeated superior technology through cunning and adaptability. "Captain, we have an opportunity," Morrison said, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "While they're focused on each other, we can rescue the survivors and study both fleets simultaneously, but we'll need to use Hartwell's quantum fold drive to stay undetected." The ship's experimental AI, designated Ghost, suddenly activated its communication systems. Unlike the rigid programming of traditional computers, Ghost had been designed to learn and evolve, mimicking the human capacity for creative problem-solving. "Captain Steele," Ghost's synthesized voice resonated through the bridge, "I have calculated 2,147 possible battle scenarios based on current fleet positions. The probability of mutual destruction within the next 6 hours is 94.7%. However, there is a 0.3% chance of an unexpected outcome if a third variable is introduced." Steele understood immediately. Humanity was that third variable. "Dex, prepare the quantum fold drive for combat operations. Steele commanded. Rico, open channels to those refugee ships. We're going to save as many as we can while studying our enemies. The Crimson Dawn shimmered and vanished from conventional sensors as the quantum fold drive engaged. The ship existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, allowing it to observe both alien fleets without being detected. As they moved through folded space toward the refugee ships, the crew realized they were witnessing the end of an era. The million-year war was about to meet something it had never faced before: human unpredictability. The galaxy's oldest conflict was about to discover why humanity had conquered their own world through pure determination and innovative thinking. The Maelstrom sector had become a graveyard of civilizations. Here, where 3 star systems once thrived, only debris and radiation remained. The Zephyr Consortium and Nexus Collective had chosen this wasteland as their latest battleground, neither caring about the billions who had already died in their endless war. Captain Steele watched through the quantum fold as refugee ships limped through the debris field. These survivors represented dozens of species, all fleeing the destruction that had consumed their worlds. Their ships were damaged, their supplies running low, and both alien fleets blocked their escape routes. Ghost, analysis of the battlefield, Steele commanded, his jaw set with determination. The AI's response came instantly. Captain, both fleets are positioning for a decisive engagement. The Zephyr Consortium has deployed 847 Crystal-class destroyers in their signature diamond formation. The Nexus Collective counters with 1,203 biocruisers in swarm configuration. Estimated time to renewed hostilities 4 minutes 37 seconds. Jade Morrison studied the tactical display, her combat experience reading the flow of battle. Captain, they're using the refugee ships as bait. Whoever controls the escape routes gains a strategic advantage. Those civilians are going to be slaughtered. The Crimson Dawn materialized at the edge of the battlefield, its quantum fold drive shutting down as it entered normal space. Immediately, sensors from both alien fleets locked onto the human vessel. Unknown ship, identify yourself or be destroyed, came the cold, mechanical voice of the Zephyr Consortium. Their language processors had quickly adapted to human communication frequencies. Simultaneously, the Nexus Collective sent their own message, filled with organic clicking and growling sounds that Ghost translated. Fresh prey has arrived. Your genetic material will strengthen our collective. Steele stood tall on his bridge, knowing this moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy. This is Captain Marcus Steele of the Terran vessel Crimson Dawn. We're here for the refugees. Stand down immediately. Both alien fleets responded with laughter, the Zephyr with mechanical precision, the Nexus with savage hunger. They had never encountered a species bold enough to demand anything from them. Fascinating, transmitted the Zephyr fleet commander. This primitive species believes it can negotiate with forces that have shaped the galaxy for millennia. Demonstrate our superiority. The Nexus response was more direct. A wave of biocruisers broke formation and charged toward the human ship, their living hulls pulsing with anticipation of the kill. Jade, now would be good, Steele said calmly. Tactical. Officer Morrison smiled grimly and activated humanity's newest weapon. The temporal displacement cannons had been developed from theories about time manipulation, creating weapons that could strike targets before they were fired. The Nexus biocruisers suddenly found themselves under attack from weapons that didn't exist yet. Energy beams materialized from empty space, striking their ships milliseconds before the Crimson Dawn's actual weapons discharged. The alien vessels, evolved to adapt to conventional attacks, couldn't process being hit by weapons firing from the future. Impossible, came the stunned transmission from the Zephyr fleet. Their technology violates fundamental principles of causality. But humanity was just getting started. Pilot Felix Crane, who had earned his reputation flying impossible missions through asteroid fields, engaged the ship's experimental maneuvering systems. The Crimson Dawn began moving in patterns that defied physics, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously. Dex Hartwell's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, the quantum fold isn't just moving us through space anymore. We're partially existing in 11 different dimensions. Their targeting systems can't lock onto something that's everywhere and nowhere at once. The Zephyr Consortium, masters of technological precision, fired their crystal lance weapons. These beams could slice through planetary cores, but they passed harmlessly through spaces where the Crimson Dawn appeared to be, but wasn't quite there. Ghost calculated attack patterns faster than any alien AI had ever operated. Captain, I've identified 2,047 ways to neutralize both fleets without destroying them. However, the most efficient method requires us to do something neither side expects. What's that? Steele asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. We help them, Ghost replied. Both fleets are caught in predictable patterns. If we disrupt their formations simultaneously, they'll be forced to adapt or retreat. Rico Santos suddenly interrupted with urgent news. Captain, I'm receiving transmissions from the refugee ships. They're saying something incredible. They know about us. Word has spread across the galaxy about a new species that helps instead of destroys. The battlefield fell silent as the Crimson Dawn positioned itself between the two alien fleets and the refugee ships. For the first time in a million years, the ancient enemies faced something they couldn't understand, a species that fought not for conquest or consumption, but for others. Zara Voss, monitoring her instruments, reported what everyone could see. Captain, both fleets are holding position. They don't know how to respond to our tactics. Steele opened communications to both alien commanders. You've been fighting the same war for a million years because you've forgotten how to think differently. Today, that changes. Stand down, or learn why humanity conquered a galaxy's worth of challenges in just a few thousand years. The ancient war was about to discover what happened when unstoppable forces met an immovable human spirit. The impossible had happened. For the first time in their million-year conflict, the Zephyr Consortium and Nexus Collective stopped fighting each other. Instead, they turned their combined fury toward the small human vessel that dared challenge their cosmic dominance. This ends now, transmitted the Zephyr Supreme Commander, his voice carrying the authority of eons. No single species has ever stood against both our empires. You will be erased from existence as a lesson to any who dare follow your example. The Nexus Overmind's response was more visceral. Your defiance amuses us, little mammals. We shall consume your ship slowly, learning your secrets as we devour your flesh. Your pain will feed our evolution. Captain Steele watched as both alien fleets began merging their formations. Crystal-class destroyers integrated with biocruisers, creating hybrid battle groups that combined technological precision with adaptive biology. The sight was both magnificent and terrifying. Enemies who had fought for millennia now working together against humanity. Captain, Zara Voss reported, her voice tight with concern. I'm reading power signatures unlike anything in our databases. They're combining their technologies. Energy readings are off the charts. Dr. Pierce frantically analyzed the merged formations. It's unprecedented evolutionary behavior. They're sharing resources and tactical data in real time. We've forced them to adapt faster than they have in centuries. Ghost's calculations became increasingly complex. Captain, probability of survival using conventional tactics has dropped to 0.03%. Both fleets combined possess firepower capable of sterilizing solar systems. Recommendation: deploy experimental reality fracture device. Steele felt the weight of the decision. The reality fracture device was humanity's most dangerous creation, developed in secret laboratories beneath Earth's surface. It could literally tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself, but using it carried risks that could affect the entire galaxy. Dex, status on the reality fracture device? Steele asked, knowing he might be condemning his crew to death or worse. In engineering, Hartwell's hands moved over controls that pulsed with energy that seemed to exist outside normal physics. It's ready, Captain, but I have to warn you. This isn't just a weapon. It's a doorway to dimensions where our rules don't apply. Once we activate it, there's no predicting what might happen. The combined alien fleets opened fire simultaneously. Crystal lances and bioplasma converged on the Crimson Dawn's position, energy enough to crack moons focused on the small human ship. But Felix Crane was ready. The pilot engaged what would later be known as the legendary Phantom Maneuver. Using the quantum fold drive in ways its creators never intended, Crane made the Crimson Dawn phase between multiple realities simultaneously. The ship became a ghost, existing everywhere and nowhere, untouchable by conventional weapons. Impossible. Both alien commanders transmitted in unison, their voices carrying confusion for the first time in eons. Jade Morrison coordinated the counterattack with surgical precision. Ghost, target their command nodes. If we can disrupt their coordination, they'll revert to old battle patterns. The temporal displacement cannons fired in sequence, striking alien command ships across multiple time streams. Battle orders were neutralized before they were given, creating confusion that rippled through both fleets. But the aliens adapted quickly. The Zephyr began using quantum-entangled communications that existed outside normal time, while the Nexus evolved their bio-neural networks to process information through genetic memory. They were learning from humanity's tactics faster than anticipated. Captain, Rico Santos called out urgently, "I'm detecting massive energy buildup in both fleets. They're preparing to fire their ultimate weapons simultaneously." The view screen showed the terrifying sight of both alien forces charging their most destructive capabilities. The Zephyr's reality slicer could cut through dimensions themselves, while the Nexus's entropy maw could devour matter at the subatomic level. Steele made his choice. "Dex, activate the reality fracture device. All hands prepare for dimensional displacement." The device engaged with a sound that existed beyond human hearing. Reality itself began to crack around the Crimson Dawn, revealing glimpses of other universes where physics worked differently. The ship began existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, becoming something more than matter and energy. Through the fractures in space-time, the Crimson Dawn struck at both alien fleets from angles that shouldn't exist. Weapons fired from parallel dimensions, hitting targets in ways that bypassed all defenses. The ancient war machines, designed to handle threats from their own reality, couldn't process attacks coming from outside existence itself. Felix Crane piloted the ship through impossible geometries, using fractured space as a highway between dimensions. The Crimson Dawn appeared, above, below, and inside enemy formations simultaneously, striking with precision that seemed to violate the laws of physics. The combined alien fleets, masters of their respective realities for millions of years, found themselves facing an enemy that operated outside all known rules. Their perfect formations crumbled as ships designed to be invincible simply ceased to function when hit by weapons that shouldn't exist. As reality began to reassert itself around the battlefield, both alien fleets hung dead in space, their crews stunned into silence by humanity's impossible victory.